People need offending.
People need defending. So
Yeah.
here's kind of like a running theme. We're only on episode 6 right now. Um, Jess does the best cold opens because she's never quite sure when I'm going to hit the edit or when I'm hitting record, and it's usually segueing from one to another that is totally non-contextual, and leaves us all wondering what she really means or what the situation's all about.
Fair.
No problem.
But we're starting this one. We're on another episode, which is the 6th episode I've just learned of Minding Your Own Business. I am Jess. This is
Jonesy.
Jonesy. So today we have a guest. Dan, I'm gonna let you go ahead and give Ron's introduction.
Absolutely. So this is our first remote recording, which is really funny because all three of us, any other day of the week, are probably 7 minutes apart and 4 miles as the crow flies. Yet today, actually, Ron and I are pretty close in proximity right now. Jess is taking a beach week, so that's okay. We're all going to get together in person really soon in Lower Bucks. Here with Ron Marvo. Met Ron a few years ago, actually, in a totally different context, back when I was still employed before my fire your boss phase. So, Ron, man, all the titles and experiences I can bestow upon you. Business and sales development entrepreneur, co-creator of Academy 365, host of the Great American Underdog, state Golden Glove boxing champion, scholar, gentleman, car enthusiast. Um, wow, what am I missing?
That's it, bro. That's enough. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. And I'm honored to be here with both of you today and excited to add value to your audience.
Well, you can take it from
Also,
here. You're a podcaster. No, I'm just kidding. We'll tee you
no,
up for
said
some
I
good
beach
stuff.
hair. I beach hair. Tell everybody because I'm at the beach. I don't normally look as crusty. Sorry, Ron.
No, you don't look crusty at all, Jess. In fact, it makes you more human and shows that you could be operating your podcast while also having fun, enjoying your summer, and adding value to people's lives. So do you, girl.
We got to do it. So quick check-in, Dan. What's your check-in before we pound Ron with some questions here?
Well, I will say a couple episodes ago, you challenged me to take some, I guess, digital breaks, some introspective timeouts where I shut the phone off, I turn the calendar off, I disconnect, I unplug for brief moments of time. The goal was 30 minutes once a week,
Hmm.
which I can do 30 minutes once a week, and I actually did the first week. I've managed to break up a few chunks of 15 minutes here and there very purposely, which makes it easier when it's nice out and I can sit outside with the dogs and just kind of go away. And it's a hard reset.
Yeah,
So
but you started. That's the thing. You didn't do the 30 minutes, but you made a start.
well, right. I mean, that's the only way as I'll get to that 30 minutes is by starting.
Most
And
people
that's
won't even
something,
start.
no, and I hate to say it. I hate to see that. I want you to start. The best time to start was to have started already, but the second best time to start is right freaking now. Start small. Do it.
That cliche, man. So what about you, Ron? Quick check-in. How you doing?
Yeah,
Business, mentally?
things are going great, Jess. Honestly, through all the trials and tribulations, at the end of the day, I'm happy to be where I'm at in my life right now. I've transferred into the entrepreneurial role about 4.5 years ago, and it's been nothing but great. My one of my mentors and business partner, Mr. Sandy Sarami, him and I. When people ask, what do you do? It's such an interesting question because a lot of times we answer that with our title rather than the impact that we have on other people. So, like, what I really do is I make it easier for people to buy from anyone. So, have you ever gone? I'm sure all of you guys have gone to either buy a car, house, big piece of furniture, and you dealt with a selling professional who's super transactional and you feel like all they want to do is just close you on the deal.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Right. So imagine for a second that every single selling professional you ever encountered was really focused on your relationship with you, driving value and helping you make the best decision possible for you. I left the retail automotive world to chase making a bigger impact in people's lives by helping facilitate trust between a prospect and a selling professional, whether you're a independent selling professional in your own business or you're a selling professional inside a retail organization, B2B or B2C, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, people's biggest fear is making a mistake. So, if we can cross that threshold of trust, the TOT, as Sandy and I call it, it makes a huge impact. So I help people build trust at the end of the day rather than saying I'm a coach or trainer.
Got you. So your main business is that you're a business coach?
Correct.
Correct.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
so yeah, so I help them become business development experts. Really, like a lot of businesses out there, Jess, they don't have a selling problem; they have a business development problem. And what that means is they don't really understand all the fundamentals of what's going on in their business. As an individual selling professional, they don't view themselves as a business within a business. So we help them do that, and we do that through a framework called the 7 pillars of killer business development, where we walk them everything from where we talk about something on here, mental resilience mindset,
Mhm.
all the way to not closing, but shared outcomes for you and your clients.
I think what you're saying is so important because I'm in real estate and I'm a realtor. So for me, like there's so many people that are transactional, and it's hard. It's hard being that agent that is the one that's everyone. Oh, you want that agent that's going to be like so aggressive? It's like, yeah, but I also want someone that's like, I'll walk into a house with someone and I will talk about the house. Like for some reason, every house that I talk bad about, people love. But I will point out, like, yeah, like I don't think this is a good investment, but your decision. Like I'm never trying. If anything, I'm swaying people not to buy houses sometimes because I just
Well,
want them to have the greatest house and greatest experience.
yeah, and you want to help them do what's best for them. So, that's a great thing to hear, Jess, because there's a lot of people out there that, as you know, whether in real estate, automotive sales, any
Mhm.
selling industry, really, they're more concerned about making a sale than making a difference. And it sounds like to me that you really are more focused on making a difference in people's lives. So when you ask me about like checking in, I'm currently, working on making sure what I do inside of our community. We have an online community and we do in-person virtual coaching drives the most amount of impact and value. So, as you guys know, being solopreneurs in your own ways, always fine tuning and iterating. So, right now in this season of my life, I'm fine tuning and I'm iterating everything on the inside a lot of times as well. So that way I can help more people on the outside and really listening to their feedback and what they value most and
Mhm.
giving that to them.
because they deserve to get that from you. Although, slight correction, I am no longer a solopreneur from the agency side, because that was one of my pitfalls and was holding me back, was being the one man team, the solopreneur, the one person show. And led to me burning out consistently, which is part of the backstory of why this show even came to be. So I have assembled and continue assembling and evolving a team around me. And that again, it doesn't. You don't have to go take out an SBA loan as a solopreneur and hire an ops manager, hire a salesperson, hire a marketer, hire. Start with a VA.
Mhm.
Just start with a VA. Get something off your plate. And from a numbers standpoint, you can just do the whole, as long as somebody can do it 70% as good as you and you can oversee them, delegate that first. And if you don't have the metrics to back that up, then I'm going to say do one of two things: delegate the thing you hate doing most, and or hold on to the thing you like doing most and delegate something else.
Yeah, no question, Dan. And again, like the other thing too is a lot of times people go into business for themselves and they end up giving themselves a job instead of a business. So to your point, like being able to have somebody that's helps you at some point. No, none of us can do anything alone. We're all sitting here on this podcast together because it's a way of adding value for each other. So it's no different than the business world. You don't get anywhere by yourself. So if you don't have really great strategic partners or virtual assistants that you could delegate maybe a smaller task to or things like that, you end up really roadblocking or sandbagging yourself and your success ultimately. So I love that you did that, Dan. And really what you do with many results, the brand development, the growth marketing, paid promotion, you really understand clients' needs. And I love being able to see that from afar at this point.
Thanks, Ron. And you just, what is it? Transcendentalism, where everything relates to everything. You just literally referred to objective criteria that a client of mine, of many results, we did a webinar about, well, it'll be 2 weeks ago at this point by the time this episode drops. They're a business broker. So their job is literally to take people who are exiting their business. They have an exit plan. They want to get rid of their business. They don't have a succession plan. They want to liquidate their assets, And there's very strict criteria. And a lot of it is exactly what you just mentioned, having systems, having high EBITDA, all these things that make a business attractive and not just a job for somebody who may buy it.
Yeah, 100%, Dan. You got to be able to understand whether or not you actually have a business, and a lot of times, or that your idea is even a business. And I recently learned this. I won't take credit for it, but a phrase called moat, MOAT. So, like, first, do you have a margin, right? Do you have at least 15% of margin? This came from Cody Sanchez. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, either of you, but you got to at least have a margin going into a business. Operations, can you actually create systems and processes? Because if you can't do that with inside of a business or an idea that you have for a business, you're not really going to have a scalable business, something that you can exit in
Mhm.
the future, right? So and then the A is the advantage. Like, what's your advantage in the marketplace? What's your HVD, or a lot of people call USP? We call it unique selling proposition, but we
Mhm.
call it HVD, your high value differentiator. What is going to set you apart at many results compared to any other marketing agency that somebody might be able to do business with? And
Ooh,
only
do you want
you,
me to answer
Dan.
that question? Because I can.
I know you. Oh, I know you can. That's a beautiful thing, because you
Well,
know why?
well, Ron,
So
I'm so
many
glad you asked.
people.
Our websites are hosted in a sustainable green data center that's completely solar powered. And as your fiduciary, we are stewards of your marketing budget. We treat it like it is Fort Knox gold.
So the fact that you can even reiterate that to such a degree tells me that you really truly understand your why and your advantage in the marketplace. And a lot of times, selling professionals, small business owners, and even leaders of bigger businesses, they don't really know their why, and they can't articulate that if you were to ask them. They don't really know what their advantage is. So, like, for example, I work a lot with automotive dealers, coaching them and their teams, and a lot of times they can't differentiate their dealership, is one of their problems when we first go in from the other Ford store, let's say, down the road. Like, what really truly makes them different? And really, a lot of times it's innovation and experience, and saving people time. But if they can't actually articulate that advantage, especially to their clients, they run into a lot of problems.
Mhm.
So, walking to a car dealership, for example, a lot of times you walk in to deal with the selling professional and they're just like, hey, how can I help you? But imagine for a second, Jess, like it sounded like this. Hey, Jess, welcome to XYZ Motors. My name's Ron, and you are? You tell me your name. And then I ask you if you're there for a new or pre owned vehicle. You tell me a new car. I said, that's great, Jess. I said, first and foremost, before we go look at a new vehicle, I just want to let you know that my goal here today is to gather and share all the information we need to help you make the best decision possible for you. And the way I'm going to do that for you today, Jess, is we're going to take a really simple three-step process. We're going to find the right vehicle for you, because there's no such thing as the right price on the wrong vehicle. After that, we'll do a quick peek and spin. Notice I said quick because time, again, being so important. And then after that, we'll look at multiple ownership options for you to take the vehicle home. Fair enough. Think about that greeting if you were to get that walking into any business, and the individual selling professional is able to state their intentions as well as the process up front early on. You now know that you're dealing with a true professional and someone who's not going to waste your time. So,
And disarming and completely destroying the bad stigma that you're wasting your entire day at a car dealership,
correct.
all by
Yeah.
stating what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and who you are. Like,
Yes.
hello,
So
my
that,
name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. It's
right,
as
right,
simple
right.
as an opening
So
pitch like
that's
that.
so that's an example of that advantage. And then the last part, the T of that moat, is total addressable market. Like, do you actually have a market of people that want what you're doing? So, I just anybody looking to get into business for themselves, you could also join somebody who already has a pre-established business, like Sandy and I. Sandy was a solopreneur before having me join forces with him. And I've learned a lot in the last 4.5 years, and we've created something truly special together. So it's exciting.
So
Well,
did your mentor? I'm sorry, Dan.
yep,
I
you're
was
up,
just
Jess.
going to say, is your mentor Sandy? So did he have a coaching business prior, and then
Yes.
you fell into it?
Yeah, so it's actually, I can share the story with you if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was working at Audi in Bridgewater, New Jersey, and I had graduated college and decided that after my military father was like, you need health insurance, you just got out of college, you need a job. Like, that's all he cared about, was like, go get a job.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, well, I don't just want a job. Up to this point, I had already been a boxing coach. I had worked in restaurants, serving and bartending. I had already won Golden Gloves. and I was like graduating with my bachelor's in business management from West Virginia University. And I grew up with two Audi technicians in my family. And I said, I'm going to work for Audi corporate. That was literally like my brain was like, I'm going to go work for the OEM. And I said, how do I get started in that with no previous automotive experience? I'll go work at a dealership and I'll go work at an Audi store. So I applied to an Audi store. I went in there, and in the first 3 months of selling, number one, I got no formal training. No managers weren't helping me, nothing like that. I learned everything by just following and paying attention to the best guy on the floor. Shout out to Jeff Bassett. He's the man and helped me a lot early on. But at first, I was being Google for people. So I was really struggling to close deals because I was giving them so much information, Jess. I'm
Mhm.
very encyclopedic in my knowledge about cars. So like for me to talk about an Audi A4 and tell you everything about premium, premium plus, prestige and all the different trim levels, I would overload people with information. So now fast forward and I'm about 6 months into it, and this is 2017. And this guy, I hear that we're going to have a sales coach come in or a sales trainer. I'm like, holy crap, this sounds awesome. I can't wait. So I get in there, and this guy comes up to the front of the room and he just starts talking about helping clients make the best decision possible for them, asking smart, relevant questions, creating opportunities out of everyday conversations, how to turn objections into opportunities. And I'm like white on rice with him, writing all this stuff down. And he sees that, and that person ends up being Sandy, and he stops me in the room. He goes, what are you doing here? That's what he asked me. And if you ever hear him tell the story, you could hear him on my podcast tell it. And I said, I'm trying to work for Audi corporate. That's why I'm here, and you're giving me a wealth of knowledge to be successful. So he goes, I don't know what we're going to do together, but we need to stay connected. So fast forward, I leave that dealership. I go work for the Ray Catena Automotive Group out in New Jersey, very well known in the premium luxury space. I joined their Audi dealership, and within a year and a half of being there, I become the highest rated and reviewed Audi brand specialist there. And during my tenure there, I became a top ranked Audi brand specialist in the nation. And a lot of that I attribute to what I did learn from Sandy, and really focusing on honing my craft. And obviously, I had a big why. I wanted to help other people in the selling profession. And I wanted to work for Audi as a sales trainer specifically. So I would go in and teach product knowledge across the country on Audi products. And for me, combining that with helping clients experience in the dealership, I was like, that was a no brainer. But at the end of about 5 years of working for Audi, I get a call from Sandy. And this is where I brought to you before the start connected, stay connected piece that he taught me very early on, because you never know where people end up. And he said, hey, man, I got a proposition for you. Let's connect. Let's grab a dinner and let's talk. And we went out to a place called Il Villaggio, and he asked me a bunch of questions beforehand. And one of those questions, and this is how I knew he was serious, was he said, what is your epitaph going to say? And I don't know if you know what an epitaph is, but it's like your gravestone.
Ah.
And he asked me that, and I'd never thought about that before. And it made me think about like what's the bigger impact I want to leave on this planet after I'm gone. Not legacy, impact. There's a difference. And when he asked me that and we sat down, he said, let's build something great together. And that was the start of now what we have 4.5 years in with Academy 365 and our coaching programs and curriculum. So that's how it all started, Jess, and that's what brought me here today.
I I love that. I love that you guys stayed connected and it was years later. It's almost like he was like, let this guy get some experience on the sales
Yep.
stuff I taught him. And then like in 4 years, I'll come back. One thing that Dan knows is that I'm a bit of a entrepreneur. I got my 3-year-old here and I need help her in the bathroom. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
No sweat.
Okay.
We'll be here because I have plenty of follow-up questions for Ron right now.
Cool.
One, it sucks that Jess just left, but she just tossed it back to the long play there, which self-reinforces the non-transactional relationship building aspect on the complete other side. This isn't even like a sales transaction. It's literally a partnership and mentorship, and entire business uh, opportunity that came to fruition on a non-transactional basis, which just
Correct.
it makes it come full circle. Um, that's
Raylan,
a that's a
Raylan
massive upward trajectory if we're looking at a 5-year trend as we would do in the stock market. But you are the great American underdog, so certainly it could not have been all ups and all wins.
No. So if you're asking me about the L's I've taken, there's definitely been plenty of them, and one of them for sure. One of the most resilient times in my life, I think, was boxing and getting into the boxing world. Growing up with my father, who inspired me very much throughout my life and still does to this day. He grew up with nothing in Brooklyn, New York, with just his mom. No, my grandfather never met him. He died when my dad was 5 years old. So my father used to commute from New Jersey. We lived in Brooklyn originally, moved to Florida. My mom hit her head putting me in a car seat and got a AVM, an atrauvenous malformation, which is a blood vessel in your brain that pops and clots. And on film in 1994, that looked like a malignant tumor. And they diagnosed my mom with 6 months to live.
Oh my God.
So at that point, my dad wanted answers. He moved my mom and I and my sister back to Brooklyn after she had, they had found somebody that could do a surgery. They did 7 hours wide awake brain surgery on my mom and found out that it wasn't a malignant tumor. And the 8 neurosurgeons that misdiagnosed her in Florida were obviously completely wrong. And they saved her life on 2020 in 1994. So growing up, I had that story already, like all the time, because number one, the resilience of my father to look for more answers and not stop at neurosurgeons, doctors. These guys are smart people, and they're telling me that she's got 6 months to live. There's nothing really I can do. He never stopped looking for answers. So, I got to give him his credit. And then my mom for being able to obviously go through that. And I could go into that deeper story. I'm not going to hear, but that was my first lesson in obvious resilience. Dad taught jump school at Fort Bragg. He was 82nd Airborne. He was an Army Ranger. So I grew up in a very non-negotiable house. So, this is how things are done. You don't like it, too bad, you're doing it. But there was also the great things about that, this never give up, never surrender attitude that was instilled in me from a very young age, and to go out and try things and give it my all. At times, of course, that's a lot of pressure, especially for a young kid that grows up in that kind of environment. But that helped me deal with pressure too, especially when I started getting into my working life. Fast forward to high school. I have a friend of mine that I grew up with. Our dads ride motorcycles together, and someone told him that I was talking about his girlfriend. I was 100 pounds soaking wet at the time, guys. In high school, in 10th grade, I was literally 103 pounds, and this
Damn.
gentleman was 215 pounds, fat, big kid, and not good in school. Somebody egged him on, and literally, I was like, I can't fight him. Number one, I'm gonna get killed. So I go back home to my father and I tell him what happened because he knew him. And he says, "Well, it sounds like you're going to get into a fight no matter what you do. So you better just like be prepared." And dad, with his background, also working in nightclubs in Brooklyn, a lot of his young life, he said this kind of bully behavior, what he's going to do is he's going to get into your face. And when he gets really close to you, he's going to put his hands to his sides to push you. And when he goes to shove you, I want you to just hit him under the chin and aim for the ceiling because he's going to be right here in front of you because he's going to do that tough guy thing. So if anybody gets in your space, just remember that they're going to do that thing and they're going to go like this. The minute they make the intention to put their hands back, that's self defense. So literally the next day in school, first period of Miss Korf's science class, he stops me in the doorway of the class. He gets in my face just like my dad said, and I hit him and I drop him in front of everybody. And the first two things that happened in my brain was, yeah, but the first two things that happened in my brain was, holy crap, I can't believe I did that. And then number two, because I'm more of a lover than anything, is like, that's my friend, and I only did it to defend myself. So I went to go help him up. And when I did, he came to, he threw a huge right hand at me. We rolled back into the science class. He ended up on top of me on my back because I turned. I caught both his arms. And he ended up getting tired of trying to pull his arms out from under me. And he said, "If I get off of you, promise you won't hit me again." I said, "Sure, no problem." We go down to the principal's office, who is also the wrestling coach. And both our fathers come down to the office. And my dad says this: "Nate, if you feel like for whatever reason Ron cheap shotted you, I'm taking him to learn how to box. But before I do that, there's going to be no more fighting in school. And the two of you can put on headgear and gloves, and Dad and I will have coffee and donuts, and you guys can kick the crap out of each other until one of you gets tired. What do you want to do?" And literally, yeah, he said no. And my dad looked at me and said, "Ron, what do you want to do?" And I said, "I'm good." But my dad said, "You're still going to learn how to box." And then I met the ranked number 2 in the world, fought for the world title in 1997 against Hector Camacho, Mr. Sizzle, and Sal Lopez, my original coach. And then fast forward 2 years later, I enter into Golden Gloves in New Jersey and I win. So when we talk about resilience, you're talking about a skinny kid, grew up in a very pressurized environment of non-negotiables and never give up, never surrender, and was forced into a more resilient path, um, learned from a resilient path, and decided that I was going to do something about it. And boxing became a way for me to express myself, and also it changed my life from a discipline and confidence level. So right there, like once I boxed and I had the confidence to get into the ring and I competed and I won at a state level, my life really changed, and building resilience from there. Although I have my ups and downs, even to this day, um, it's easier to tolerate because I know that I'm in control of my destiny a good bit because I've done it in the past and I've created outcomes for myself that I never thought were possible. So anybody listening out there, to all three of us, I'm sure Dan and Jess, you guys have similar stories of resilience, of overcoming things in your own ways. So yeah, so that's a little bit about that resilience from that standpoint early on, and then in business, of course, going from a 6-figure plus job every year, commission based, to my first year as an entrepreneur, I only made $38,000. That was it. So I had to figure out a way. And then now today, we have a very successful business that we are continuing to grow and add value. So my life has been defined by resilience, Dan, to answer your question.
Beautiful.
So,
That is a beautiful story, and not just story, but the origin story. Um,
but
a
how
lot
do
of
you?
people would say that resilience is pushing through no matter what, very black and white. I have a bit more of a nuanced stance where I say don't stop towards your goal, but you can give up or eliminate certain things to get there. What's your position on that?
Well, you definitely have to subtract at a certain point. Sometimes resilience is letting go of things that don't serve you anymore.
Good
And
point.
so to your point, I totally agree with you, because if you're having something in your life that's hindering you, and you're doing nothing about it, um, first before you can be resilient, you gotta have courage. And to develop courage is you have to take action in the face of fear, and then I think that develops your resilience over time. So courage can be in a work environment, it could be in a social environment, it could also be personal courage, right? Like deciding that I'm going to make a change physically in my life and start to go running. Like that takes courage to make that decision and then stick with it. The resilience part and the discipline part comes from continuing the consistency. But to your point, Dan, about like eliminating things, yeah, I totally think, it is nuanced, and at times, as you get better, as you get older, as long as you're continuing to educate yourself and learn, and you continue to iterate and fine tune, you're going to have to subtract things. And that is totally a form of resilience. Sometimes that could be in form of physical assets, like, selling a car that you really like in order to invest in something that's going to give you a huge ROI. It could also be the resilience of letting go of a relationship, a childhood friend, where they're just stuck mentally. No matter how you try to help them, they stay stuck, and you can't invest your energy anymore. Unfortunately, as much as it hurts, that's a form of resilience.
Unfortunately,
So
you
it's a great
outgrow
question.
people.
What's that?
Unfortunately, we can outgrow people, and they can be people that you spent your entire. I have friendships that I have that they're still friendship, but we've outgrown each other because we've gone on different paths. So it's like
Yeah,
it's
exactly
hard to
right.
get together. So but yeah, we it happens, and it is hard to like notice if someone's not good for you, and like let them, like if you ever notice, if you've ever had to like let someone go, and like you've automatically felt like your mindset and like everything just get less
It feels lighter.
The weight just comes off.
lighter. And you're
Yeah.
a super positive guy. I was like creeping on your Instagram and stuff before this. I guess a question I have for you is like, I know it's not perfect all the time, but how do you like what is your routine? Like how do you wake up every day ready to coach somebody to be positive, especially if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. But your job is to build people up like, hey, we're being positive. We got this.
I have to separate it, Jess. I have to leave it at the door. So, like, in automotive, as bad as this could sound, a lot of times selling professionals and leaders in dealerships would say, like, the showroom floor is your theater and you're an actor. Like, when you go and greet somebody, everything else has to shut off. Now, that's one way of looking at it. But when something is, and I don't think that that's a complete picture. To your point, like when something is really, really bothering you, but you also have a very strong why. My why is so strong in my life to support and provide for the people around me and to make an impact in other people's lives, leaving them better than I found them, that even when I have those moments, and I do all the time, I'm human, and you have doubts and things like, and questions in your brain constantly. And just, the questions just change as you evolve. They just become new questions and new doubts, right? I just know that if I bring that into a coaching session or with the client, I'm not going to deliver the most amount of impact and value for them. So, like, when you make it less about you and you make it really about the people you wish to serve first, and then ultimately sell, if depending on what you're doing, if you look at it from a service standpoint and like, I need to bring my A game for them, and I do my best to shut it off. I can be upset later. I got time to be upset later. I can go home and I can tell my wife about all the crappy things that I felt today, potentially. A lot of times too, I write stuff down, like hashtag WTSD, write that shit down is one of our hashtags in our business, because we talk about it in terms of, it's, if a client shares something with you, it's important for you and it's important for you to remember, you better write that shit down, but
Yeah.
also for yourself. Sometimes words on paper are magical for yourself. So, like, I'll brain dump a lot of times too when I feel like I have a lot going on, and I'll just brain dump. I've even now included AI in that mix, and I have a conversation in my ChatGPT Plus account that's literally all about my own mission, vision, purpose, and letting that be a soundboard for me at times, and letting it know my story intimately.
Mhm.
So when I have those times, I dump it first before I deal with a client or go on a coaching call, Jess.
I know that
Yes, I can.
I've definitely had times where I'm in a bad mood, but it's someone's closing day, and then it's like literally like you're like all chipper and like you're happy, and then once it's all done, just like a feeling of like exhaustion comes over me, like oh my god, like that was so painful to be so happy for that time.
Yeah,
Like
it can.
it could be painful to be happy sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Add
because
that,
you're happy for other people, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But then, then you were gonna say something to that.
Yeah, no, this is magical, and I feel like we could talk another 3 hours about it, but we're getting close on time here, so I want
We're
to
getting
do
close.
a couple things. One, I'm a big fan of the singular call to action, and although I will put, Ron, many of your links into our show notes here, where can people find you? That's your preferred method. Would it be the podcast?
Yeah, so you can connect with me, just Ron Marvo across the board is all my personal stuff. And then for the podcast, it's the Great American Underdog podcast. You can find that on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And then if you wanted to get more information on our community, we have the Winner Circle, which is our free version of our community. We do live webinars monthly where we talk about everything from mindset, branding, becoming the trusted resource, building pipelines, handling objections, shared outcomes, you name it. We talk about it, business related. And we have a community right now of about 200 selling
Oh
professionals
wow.
and small business owners and entrepreneurs in that free part. And then we do have a paid for part, but I'm not here to pitch that. If you want more information, you could definitely reach out to me, and I'd be glad to see if it's in alignment for you.
Cool. And I encourage everybody to go and follow Ron on Instagram. Like, I don't know if you have a personal one, but I'm following the Great Underdog, and everything there is super motivational. And I enjoy watching you there. And I'm very grateful for the conversation and your positivity. So I appreciate you coming on.
Right back at you, Jess, and I'm excited to connect with you further after this call. I appreciate you both for obviously having me on, and you're correct. You could definitely check out Great American Underdog Podcast
Mhm.
on Instagram. That's a great way to get some added value from the podcast. And if you want take it a step further, go to YouTube and subscribe. Definitely helps the channel grow and gets these stories out to more people that can help others.
And if you're listening on our Spotify channel, this will be on the recommended shows for you to check out, is the Great American Underdog podcast. So, Ron, thank you for sharing your no turning back moment story of resilience. And for everybody taking notes, if you're not, WTSD, write that shit down.
That's it.
And Dan, how do we end? How do we end our cast?
We do a kick. We do a high kick.
Is it okay that I'm barefoot?